Hey, how's it going out there? Hope you guys are doing well.
FM.
So today we got some interesting Spider-Man news. Marvel released I guess you could call it a teaser or I don't even know if you consider it a teaser because it was like it's 9 seconds, but essentially they showed or revealed a 9 second clip of the new Spider-Man suit that's going to be in the upcoming Spider-Man film, Spider-Man Brand New Day. Um, and so, there's not much you can get from that, but there are some other details that have been kind of all but confirmed for this new Spider-Man movie. And so I was kind of interested in it because the MCU Spider-Man, he's had a pretty interesting shelf life, I guess you could say, because for a while he was pretty much just Iron Man Jr. Like he was just kind of the semi-adopted kid of Tony Stark, and then Tony Stark died, and he was on his own for a few movies. And then the last movie, he pretty much had a complete reset where literally the entire universe does not know who he is. So he is, as of now, a blank slate, which is fitting that the name of the new movie is going to be A Brand New Day because it's pretty much a new chapter for Spider Man. Like he has no friends, no family, no enemies. No one knows who he is. He's pretty much all by himself. Aunt May's dead. Tony Stark's dead. No one else knows who he is. And so he is completely by himself. And so I think it's interesting. The thing about Spider Man that I think that this film is going to have to address, they're going to have to at some point acknowledge this, is the fact that Doomsday is coming out next year. Secret Wars is coming out the year after that. And Spider Man, he's not been confirmed for Doomsday. Now, whether he's in it or not, he may or may not be. I mean, the cast for that film is fucking stacked already. So if he's not in Doomsday, it wouldn't be a surprise. But he's gonna be in either Doomsday or Secret Wars, and I don't know if they're just gonna let him show up without acknowledging the fact that no one knows who he is now. Like this is something I've really thought about for a while now. Is Spider Man is really just an unknown. Like at this point in the MCU, no one knows who he is because they've had their memory erased of him. So I don't know. I wonder how they're going to reintroduce him into the Avengers, into the superhero grand scheme of things. Like, how's he gonna? Like, is he just gonna show up and people are like, "Oh, who's this?" Guy that we've never seen before. And he's like, "Oh, hey, Peter Parker, Spider Man." Like, I don't know. Like, I feel like this is something they should have established a while ago. I mean, I know that it's kind of hard for them to work with Spider-Man because you have to deal with Sony, and then Sony kind of has their own restrictions and terms and agreements. So I know it's kind of a little bit complicated to like just use Spider-Man whenever they want to, but I feel like essentially, especially since his film's coming out next year and it's like right before Doomsday, I feel like there should have been more setup to him being reestablished and reintegrated into the MCU and kind of like where he stands. Is he just on his own? Is he operating on his own? Is he going to be part of a team? Like, we don't know. Like we don't know anything about it. But another rumor, I guess this has been quasi confirmed, is that the Hulk and the Punisher are going to show up in this Spider-Man movie. And yeah, I don't know. This is something about the MCU Spider-Man that at first it was kind of cool, but now I feel it's just kind of a little bit annoying. It would be nice just to have a Spider-Man film with just Spider-Man just doing Spider-Man things. Like I think we've gotten to the point where it's like every Spider-Man film has to be cram full of all these of cameos of all these different A-list superheroes, or he's having to go to other multiverses or dimensions. It's like we just can we just have for once a simple, not even a simple, but just a Spider-Man film centered around Spider-Man and him. Like no villains that are created from Tony Stark or villains from other dimensions or having to save interdimensional, beings or anything like that. Just like, can we have a slice of life ground level Spider-Man film would be enjoyable. Just Spider-Man doing his thing on the street level, because that's what I think most people have wanted. Most people would like to see is Spider-Man getting back to the roots of being Spider-Man. None of this, insane tech being Iron Man 3.0, or having to go off and fight with Doctor Strange, or having to go fight with Scarlet Witch, or having to go fight with Falcon. It's like I think it's been overplayed. Like I don't. It's not a bad thing to have a cameo, but it's like it seems like for some reason Spider-Man specifically, they just have to cram in all these other characters. It's like he just cannot have his own movie, which is weird because Spider-Man is one of the most iconic and established superheroes of all time. Like if any character could stand on their own and have their own movie without anyone being involved, it's Spider-Man. Like he is the best character for that. It's like every film he's had either Tony Stark in there, Doctor Strange, or multiple Spider-Man, or he's had, Falcon show up at the end. And then now in this film, it seems like Hulk and Punisher are going to show up. So once again, we're continuing the trend of having more heroes show up. And I don't know. I don't know why that's a thing. I don't get what the reason for that is. I don't know why they insist on having Spider-Man needing all this excessive amount of cameos and crossovers. Because I mean, yeah, they do this with other films, but you rarely see this in other films. Like, the Guardians is just the Guardians. Even Thor, like, yeah, Thor occasionally will have a cameo, but like you don't really see the other films just constantly having to just load up all these heroes into it, like the Spider-Man movies. But and I guess it works because the last Spider-Man film grossed like $1 billion, and the other, I mean, none of the MCU Spider-Man films have done bad. So I guess it's not a broken formula, and it's not a bad formula. So the saying, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So they're continuing to trend, but to have Punisher show up is an interesting choice because I wonder, is he going to be like an antagonist? Is he going to be kind of like the big? He's not going to be the big bad. But is he going to be like a foil to Spider-Man? Is he going to be against Spider-Man, for Spider-Man? I feel like I would lean towards him being against Spider-Man just because I don't really see him and Spider-Man's morals and their perspective of justice and how to deal with criminals being on the same page. So I feel like they're probably going to be some type of at best probably like frenemies, or like not frenemies, but like kind of like they're begrudging allies, but not really happily teamed up together. But I think having Punisher there, it'll be interesting because I wonder if they're gonna kind of go into the more dark. No, maybe not. I mean, they're not gonna do an R-rated, but like with the Punisher, you kind of expect gruesome fights, bloody fights. You don't think of PG, friendly type of fights, or even situations like even the Daredevil show. I mean, I didn't see a show, but I saw that he showed up in it, and it seemed like he was still kind of in the same Punisher vein as he was in Netflix shows. So I think that that's an interesting addition. I just don't know why Punisher. It just seems like such a random character to have in this film. I don't like he's never interacted with Spider-Man. I mean, I guess you could say they're both street level characters, and so they have that. They're both in New York. They have that in common. But assuming that this is true, because it hasn't been officially confirmed, but assuming it's true, I'll be curious to at least see what he is going to be doing. Like, how does he fit? Because I really can't see how he's going to fit other than just like being like like a secondary antagonist. Because he's not going to be the main antagonist. There's no way Punisher is going to be the main villain in the Spider-Man film. That's just not going to happen. So he's at best or at worst going to be a secondary or side villain, or like some type of issue that Spider-Man has to deal with. I mean, honestly, I feel like what would be better is to have Daredevil there, because we saw Daredevil show up in the last Spider-Man film. It'd be kind of cool to have him there, where he shows up and he kind of helps Peter with like I don't know, just helps him as being a superhero again, since he doesn't have any friends. Matt could help him kind of he could be kind of that way of integrating him back, even though that really wouldn't work because Daredevil isn't connected to any of the Avengers or the other the grander MCU. Like he doesn't have connections, so I guess he couldn't really help him like be back into the Avengers. But he could at least kind of be a gateway into him being known again into the to the public of being a character that's helping out Matt Murdock, who's a famous lawyer. So that'd be interesting. If they insist on having Spider-Man be with all these different characters, I think the route to go is to have more grounded characters because. I mean, yeah, Spider-Man, he does have his grand, epic adventures where, Infinity War, he's, off in space, and Endgame, he's fighting with all the heroes. Then his last movie, he's fighting beings and characters from other dimensions. But at the core, it's enjoyable just to see him on a street level basis, just helping the common people, doing, not normal things, but, just, stopping crime. It'd be now. I don't know if he's going to be in the MCU. I'm sure he will, but him crossing over with Luke Cage would be cool. Him crossing over, like I said, with Daredevil would be cool. Jessica Jones, and if he's going to be dealing with the Punisher or having some type of relationship or involvement with the Punisher, that kind of is along the lines. So I think if they insist on him having to be in movies of all these different types of heroes, at least keeping him with grounded characters would be the route to go. But speaking of characters that are not really grounded, the other character that is supposed to show up in this upcoming Spider-Man film is the Hulk, which is weird. I get it and I don't. I do get it in the sense that the Hulk we got now, I mean, let's be honest, that you will be hard pressed to find anyone who says that what has been done with the Hulk post Infinity War has been anything but an absolute disappointment. I mean, you want to talk about the one character that the MCU has just consistently and just routinely failed and has continued to fail is the Hulk. Especially from the OG group. Like, I mean, yeah, Thor has been flanderized. Thor has been kind of fucking regressed tremendously from Love and Thunder. But I mean, I'd even argue Thor, I would say Thor at least had a kind of better comeback from Endgame, where in Endgame he was just this depressed, drunk, overweight slob that everyone made fun of for being depressed. And then he went from that to being at least, back in shape, fighting the bad guys. I think he had and it was still bad. Like Thor and Hulk, I would say are in the same realm of being poorly handled post Endgame, but Hulk has just been consistently handled horribly. Like he's just been treated badly ever since Infinity War. Ever since Thanos just fucking crushed him in a few seconds. That was the last time we actually got the Hulk as he should have been in any real form. And ever since then, we've had just this, milk toast character, has the character of a piece of wheat toast, Professor Hulk, as he's called, which has just been disappointing. And so, since this is the Hulk, because I'll be honest, it would have been cool if we had like 2020 or 2012. I'd say up until Ragnarok, if we had that Hulk in a Spider-Man film, that would be kind of interesting. Because I would be interested to see how does that work. Like, is like Spider-Man going to be teaming up with the Hulk, and how that relationship work with Hulk being this unpredictable, destructive force in nature, and can just flip out in a dime and destroy everything. That would be a cool team dynamic. That would having the Punisher and 2012 Hulk and Spider-Man as like a trio, or having them as like a core cast of characters. It sounds kind of random, but I think that would be there'd be a lot there for some interesting conflicts, some interesting dynamics there. But with the current fucking, Professor Hulk, I mean, I guess because the Hulk, Professor Hulk, is a scientist and he is one of the more intelligent characters in the MCU. So I mean, it would be cool having him there just for Peter's a nerd, Peter's into science and all that, and Bruce is into that. So I guess there is a little bit of overlap, but again, it just seems kind of random. Like I guess I'm sure it'll be probably like the Doctor Strange route where an issue comes up where someone like the Hulk is needed, or Professor Hulk. That's the thing, is like I don't really know what kind of issue could come up that Peter would need the Hulk for, because the Hulk has been, I mean, not only has he been handled poorly, but then in Captain America, Brave New World, he was pretty much just hijacked of his entire identity. Like all of his villains, his love interest, all of that was just taken from him and given to Falcon as Captain America. I don't know what, I don't understand why they decided to do that, but for some reason instead of trying to give Hulk like a show or so, because I know that I think Paramount owns like the rights to Hulk, so I know they can't just make it like straight up make a film of the Hulk, but the fact that they just gave everything that the Hulk had as far as like villains, they gave his villains to Captain America, and then they gave him to She Hulk, they gave his love interest, Betty Ross showed up, like everything Hulk related or Hulk associated, they just stripped from him and then gave to other characters. Like I don't understand why they did that. I don't get it. It's just even more it's just more in line with them just poorly handling the Hulk for some reason. And so, yeah, the fact that the Hulk's gonna be, in this film, it's just I don't know, it's just kind of odd because I don't really see what he could like provide for Peter or would be used for because there are other characters that are really smart in the MCU that Peter could go to. And I mean, yeah, I guess you could say that the Hulk is still quote unquote like one of the strongest characters, but I don't know. Like he doesn't really seem like it. I mean, the portrayal of the Hulk since Infinity War has just been very disappointing. So I can't really say that either. So yeah, I mean, I guess you could say because I was saying earlier about how they're going to reintegrate Peter into the Avengers. I guess you could use this as a way to like integrate him back into the Avengers. Is that he's working with Bruce slash Hulk, Professor Hulk, and then he gets reintroduced to the Avengers and into the team that way. So I guess in that sense, it does make sense that he's going to be in this film. Assuming he's in this film, I guess it does make sense from at least a long term narrative standpoint that they have him there as a way to kind of bring Spider-Man back into the Avengers. So that way, when he shows up in Doomsday or Secret Wars, like he's a somewhat reestablished character that the other Avengers and some of the main cast kind of are aware of. So from that standpoint, I kind of get it. But I don't know, the Hulk at this point, I just feel like unless they just completely overhaul the Hulk, I just don't really see him providing much because no one wants to see this fucking Professor Hulk in anything. Like, even if they did like a movie or something, they would have to completely revert him back to being the Hulk from before, or they'd have to change him into some other version of the Hulk, like Maestro Hulk or something like that. Because this Hulk is he's just a watered down, bland, disappointing version of a far superior character. I mean, Bruce from before is a better character than Professor Hulk. Like it's kind of wild how both versions of this character that he's combined from were superior versions of what he is now combined. Like in theory, he's supposed to be the best of both, but he's actually the worst of both, and even then some. Because I'd argue that Bruce in the Avengers and Age of Ultron, even a little bit in the Ragnarok, is a far better version of Smart Hulk, at least the Bruce aspect, than Professor Hulk. And then Hulk on his own was a far superior Hulk before Professor Hulk. So he's the worst of both aspects of the characters he's fused from. And, and on top of it, he's just a watered down version of both. And he's just bland. He's just kind of like a gentle giant not even a giant, that's a gentle, hulking, no pun intended, green dude who's nerdy. I mean, he's really no different than just like some teenager's awkward, nerdy dad, pretty much, that's just green at this point. Like, there's just nothing to him. But I mean, I don't know. I'm sure that like he'll probably fit in. Like I think if they are going to have him in there, I think that's how they're going to use him. Is he's just going to be a means to kind of bring Peter back into the fold? Because I mean, we don't know what the story is yet, so we don't know. I mean, maybe when we get like a synopsis or more of an idea of like what the story is, we'll have an idea. Assuming Hulk is in the film, we'll kind of get a better idea of like what Hulk might do or what he may be doing, or like what the Punisher might be doing. But as of right now, I don't know. I'm kind of hard pressed of thinking of exactly how the Hulk, out of all the characters on the planet Earth in the MCU, how he and Punisher end up connecting to Peter. Because I don't even remember where Hulk was left off at. Because the last time we saw Hulk was that abysmal TV show She-Hulk, and they've just pretty much all but forgotten about that show. Not only they've forgotten about that show, but they forgot about Hulk's son Scar. He's been forgotten about. And I don't know where Hulk was at with his son at the end of that, but I don't even think he was in New York. Punisher's in New York, so I mean, at least you got that. Like they're kind of in the same proximity, so they got that going for them. But yeah, and I'm interested to see what they do with this Spider-Man film because it seems like on top of being a Spider-Man film, I feel like this is going to be somewhat set up for Doomsday. Not yeah, Doomsday. I feel like this film is either going to be set for Doomsday or Secret Wars or both because I can't see a film like this coming out the same year as Doomsday and not really setting up for Doomsday or Secret Wars. And I think next year, Marvel doesn't really have a lot of films I'm aware of coming out. They have Doomsday, they have Spider Man, and they might have about one more film, but they don't have much going on next year. And to be honest, they have not really set up at all Doomsday or Secret Wars. The closest you could say they've kind of quote unquote set up for Doomsday is that they've had the Fantastic Four movie come out and they've like teased it in the post credit scene or something. But like other than that, like they really have not done any like full on establishments of like what Doomsday is going to be about. We haven't even seen Doom yet, so we don't even know where Doom's going to come from. It's implied in the Fantastic Four movie that he's going to show up from that universe, but we don't even know that. So yeah, I guess that this film will probably be like a means of setup plus a Spider-Man film, which is I guess kind of in lines for these films because it seems like the Spider-Man films have either been wedged before major film events or after. Because the first Spider-Man film, I believe, came out pre-Infinity War. Yeah, it came out pre-Infinity War, and then the second film came out post Endgame, and then the other film came out after that. So it seems like these films kind of are slotted in between the major events. So this is kind of in line with that. But yeah, those are just my thoughts on the Spider-Man movie or what we know of it and the little bits and pieces we've gotten so far. So yeah, I think that's going to be it for me for right now. And until I see you guys later, take it easy.